Hey everyone, get ready because we're going on a deep dive today
Oh, yeah.
into your blood.
I'm excited.
It's more than just that red stuff, it's
Yeah.
like a whole bustling city
Exactly.
with all kinds of different
Oh,
residents.
residents.
And they've got a lot to tell us about our health.
They
So
do.
today we're going to decode those sometimes confusing medical lab values
Yeah.
with the help of an expert.
Glad to be here.
This idea of blood as a city
It is a great analogy.
is just brilliant. It really helps
It's
you
very
emphasize
bland.
it.
I think so.
Why is this city so important, though?
Well, just like a real city,
Yeah,
your blood has all these different systems,
right.
and they all work together to keep things going.
Yeah,
And just like, if you look at a census
All
for
right.
a city, you can see like what's going on. And
Yeah.
maybe there are some problems that need to be addressed.
absolutely.
So lab
That's
values
like a sense.
give you a snapshot of what's happening inside you. And the amazing thing is they can show us things
Yeah.
before you even feel sick.
Oh, wow. So early detection
Early detection is key.
is super important.
That's incredible.
Yes.
Let's start with, what I think of as like the delivery trucks of the city.
Oh, yeah.
The red blood cells, they're carrying around oxygen,
That's
keeping
right.
everything running.
Exactly.
What happens if they're not there?
If you don't have enough
Yeah.
delivery trucks, right?
Yeah.
Like you
Yeah.
said,
Mhm.
you're not going to get your oxygen to
Right.
the rest of your body.
Yeah.
And that's what anemia is.
Okay.
You're going to feel tired,
Oh, yeah. For
short of breath.
Like if you were,
Imagine trying to run a marathon,
oh, yeah.
but you could only breathe through a straw.
Oh,
That's what it feels like.
makes sense.
Yeah,
I can see why people don't want to have anemia.
absolutely.
Now, that's pretty common, right?
It is, yeah. What are some of the things that could cause it?
It can be as simple as not getting enough iron
Oh, well.
in your diet,
Okay,
because iron is what you need to build those red blood cells.
gotcha.
But sometimes it could be something more serious,
Oh,
like bleeding internally or problem with your bone marrow, which is where your red blood cells are made.
okay. So low red blood cell count.
It's a good reason to check things out.
Yeah, like a little red flag, literally.
Literally.
Okay, so that's
Uh-huh.
if there are not enough. What if there are too many?
Ah. Well,
Like too many trucks on a road.
too many delivery trucks, yeah. So if
Yeah.
you have too many red blood cells,
Uh-huh.
it's called polycythemia,
Oh,
and it can cause problems as well.
oh, really?
It makes your blood thicker,
Okay.
which can increase the risk of blood clots.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
And this could be caused by a number of things.
Yeah.
Like smoking
Okay.
or living at high altitudes or even certain medical conditions.
So it's about balance.
Balance is important.
With everything,
Yes.
too much
Sure.
or too little can throw things off.
Yes.
Speaking of keeping things in check,
Uh-huh.
we've got the police force of the blood,
Oh, yeah.
the white blood cells,
The blood cells.
WBC.
Keeping things safe.
I love that analogy.
The police.
Yeah, they're like our little warriors,
Yeah.
patrolling around looking for invaders.
Right.
Anything that doesn't belong, bacteria, viruses.
Okay.
Now, if you have a high white blood cell count,
Uh-huh.
it probably means your body is fighting something off,
Okay.
like an infection.
Gotcha.
For example, if you have strep throat,
Oh, yeah.
you'd probably have a high white blood cell count.
So that's a sign that my immune system is like
Working hard.
doing its job.
Yeah.
What if it's low, though?
That means your immune system is a little weak.
Okay.
You're more likely to get infections,
Right.
and that's called leukopenia.
Leukopenia.
Yeah. There are different things that can cause that.
Yeah. Okay.
Certain medications, like chemotherapy drugs,
Right.
can suppress the immune system,
Makes sense.
or
Yeah.
conditions like HIV can impair white blood cell production.
Okay, so low white blood cells.
Not a good thing.
They're not good.
No.
Are there different types
Oh,
of white blood cells?
well, yes, there are.
Like
Sarah.
different specialties?
Specialties within the police force.
Yeah.
So like neutrophils,
Okay.
those are like the first responders
Oh, okay.
to an infection.
Right.
And then there's lymphocytes,
Uh-huh.
which are more like detectives
Oh, interesting.
that target specific invaders.
Okay.
So a CDC
Yeah.
complete blood count
Yeah.
often breaks down those different types.
Oh, okay.
So doctors can get even more clues.
So a simple blood test
Lots of information.
has a ton of information.
It's amazing.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Now, we can't talk about oxygen
Right.
without talking about hemoglobin.
Yeah.
That's the protein
It's inside the red blood cell. Right. It's like
carrying the oxygen.
the cargo.
Exactly.
So what can we learn from that?
Well, if your hemoglobin is low,
Mm-hmm.
it's often another sign of anemia.
Okay.
And again, you might feel tired, weak.
Right, because you're not getting that oxygen.
Exactly.
So it sounds like low red blood cell count
Yes,
and low hemoglobin kind of go together.
they do. They're both indicators of anemia,
Okay.
but they can give us slightly different pieces of information.
Oh, okay, interesting.
Like someone with iron deficiency anemia
Right.
might have a normal red blood cell count,
Uh-huh.
but low hemoglobin because
Yeah.
their red blood cells aren't carrying enough iron to
Interesting.
make enough hemoglobin.
So it's about looking at everything,
All the pieces.
not just one thing.
Exactly.
Okay, let's talk about fuel now.
Fuel.
Glucose.
Oh, yeah, glucose.
It's like the electricity
yes,
that keeps the city running.
that's a great way to put it.
What happens when those levels are out of whack?
Well, if your blood sugar is consistently high,
Yeah.
that's called hyperglycemia.
Hyperglycemia.
And it's a sign of diabetes.
Okay.
So either your body isn't making enough insulin,
Right.
or your cells aren't responding to it properly.
And insulin's the hormone that helps.
That regulates blood sugar, yes.
Okay. And high blood sugar over time.
Yeah, high blood sugar can actually damage blood vessels.
Oh, wow.
And that can lead to serious complications.
Okay.
Like heart disease,
Gotcha.
nerve damage,
Right.
and even vision problems.
So that's not something to mess around with.
No, it's important to take it seriously.
What about when it's low?
So low blood sugar is
Yeah.
called hypoglycemia.
Hypoglycemia.
And that's like a power outage.
Right.
Things start shutting down.
Oh, that makes sense.
You might feel dizzy,
Okay.
shaky, weak, or even confused.
Gotcha.
And that can happen if you skip meals
Right.
or exercise too hard without enough fuel,
Makes sense.
or if you're taking certain medications,
Ooh.
especially insulin.
Gotcha. Our energy levels are really dependent on this balance.
They are.
That's amazing.
Yes.
Last but not least,
Okay.
electrolyte.
Electrolytes.
You know, I'm thinking about it like
Uh-huh.
the infrastructure,
Oh, yeah.
the roads, the bridges, all that stuff.
Yeah, the communication systems.
That keeps the city connected.
That's a great analogy.
So electrolytes.
They're things like sodium,
Yeah.
potassium,
Ugh.
chloride.
Right.
They keep your fluid balanced and your nerves and muscles working, right?
Oh, okay.
So they help transmit nerve impulses,
Gotcha.
contract your muscles, including your heart,
Okay, so what happens when they get
out of balance.
messed up?
Well, imagine a traffic jam
Okay.
or a communication breakdown.
Makes sense.
In the city, things start to go wrong.
Yeah.
For example, if your potassium levels are too low,
Uh-huh.
you might get muscle cramps,
Right.
weakness, or even irregular heartbeats.
So electrolytes,
Important.
super important.
Yes.
It's amazing thinking about blood this way.
It is amazing.
It's not just this
It's a complex system.
red fluid. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's this whole city.
Yeah.
What's the key takeaway here?
I think the biggest thing is that knowledge is power
Right.
when it comes to your health.
Uh-huh.
If you understand these basic lab values,
Yeah.
you can have better conversations with your doctor,
Right.
be more involved in your own care.
And advocate for yourself.
Exactly.
These values are just one part of it, though.
They are.
You got to think about your whole medical history,
Everything else,
other factors.
it all fits together.
But they can really help
they can
give you some insights.
for sure.
So this city analogy,
I love it.
it's just so powerful.
Mhm.
It really demystifies things,
Absolutely.
makes it more understandable.
Yeah.
What other residents
Mm.
of this city might we want to learn more about?
That's a good question for everyone to think about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
Thanks for having me.
We'll see you next time for another exploration
Sounds good.
of all things health.
Looking forward to it.
See you then.
Bye.
You've been listening to the Learning Podcast, a production of Metanesta. Remember, learning is a journey, one step, one insight, one skill at a time. We'll see you next time. Keep learning, stay curious, and as always, be awesome.